Critical thinking. What is it? What is it not? Have you thought critically lately? Have you even thought about the act of critical thinking? What about teaching our students to think critically? I think this is one of the few true good things that we can teach our students that they can take away with them that will really help them succeed in the world of work. When they work for their employers and they can think critically, what an asset they can be. All right, so here we go. I ask you, is this critical thinking? Biased thinking? What about distorted thinking? How about being partial one way or the other? How about being uninformed? How does that relate to critical thinkers? What about a prejudiced view? Is that critical thinking? Still undecided? What about this? How about critical thinking being someone who can generate purpose, or raise questions about a reading, or can use the information they read in different ways? How about takes inferences, or makes assumptions, or even embodies a point of view? Is that critical thinking? Critical thinking relies on reason, not emotion. It requires evidence. It concerns finding the best explanation for an event. It weighs the influence of motives and bias. It recognizes assumptions and prejudices. And critical thinking remains open to alternative interpretations. Critical thinkers approach text and remarks with skepticism. They ask questions and they analyze. They just don't read it and believe it. They wonder, what's the point of view of the author? What are they trying to accomplish? They ask questions. They wonder why. Why did a person say this? Why did another person say something totally the opposite? One way we could point this out is with Obama's State of the Union address. If they read an article that is in support of or favoring what Obama had to say, chances are they're a Democrat and they support the Democratic Party, therefore they support Obama. On the other hand, someone who is very negative and critical of Obama could quite possibly be a Republican. They're on the other side in our political party system, and therefore they would probably not agree with a lot of what Obama had to say earlier this year. Critical thinkers are also open to new ideas and perspectives. A new way of doing something isn't always bad. Non-critical thinkers. How many of these do you have in your workforce or your classroom or your relatives or friends or family? Non-critical thinkers tend to see things as black and white. It's either this way or it's that way. There's no in between. Non-critical thinkers fail to see connections and related elements. They don't realize that one thought is tied to another, or an action is caused from a reaction to a particular event that happened prior. Non-critical thinkers think that their facts are the only relevant ones and nobody else's opinion or thoughts matter. Non-critical thinkers, they believe that their own perspective is the only sensible one in an argument. And lastly, for non-critical thinkers, they believe that their goal is the only valid one that exists. How many people do we know like that? Okay, so how do we get started and what is it that I want you to do today? Well, by the end of today, I would like you to study this particular site that I'm going to give you. Watch this video. We'll watch it here in a minute as a staff. And it just shows one small fishbowl method of setting up creative thinking in our classrooms. I think you will be impressed and find out how easy it really is to implement one small step in this journey of our education system. Why bother? Critical thinking. What does it matter? Why is it important? With critical thinking, students will be able to gather and access relevant information. They'll know how to research and determine which source is best and why. Students will be able to come to well-reasoned conclusions as to maybe why World War I happened or why you should use a particular formula in math class. Students should also be able to think open-mindedly. How great would that be if the world could be open-minded and be accepting of other cultures and other ways of thinking? But I think more importantly, students should be able to communicate effectively in finding solutions. That's teamwork, that's being part of a team, and that's all of what the workforce is about these days. The challenge. I challenge you to go to the site that I have here. There's some out there for you on your table. I want you to find a lesson plan in your area to use in your classroom before the 9 weeks is over. And with our KEEP plan, I will be evaluating you to see whether or not you're able to implement this task. Thank you.